Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 58 of Stat Check. This episode is titled "What Are We Doing?" And is entirely in reference to Anthony, who appears to be whispering at the camera right now.
Yep.
He is back. He has taken It's been what, 3 weeks since you've been on, Anthony? 4 weeks?
I don't know,
It's
like
been a
long time.
This is the first show Anthony's done with us in August. I think that's actually probably like the easiest way.
Yeah.
So, welcome to the show. Thank you for being with us again. I know it's your show as well, so it's kind of weird to say it like that, but it's good to have you back. I'm hoping that you're all recovered. We didn't share any of your news with anyone, so you'll maybe get to do that on the show if you want to as well.
Oh, nice. Yay.
So we'll kick it off with that in just a second. But thank you everyone for being with us. We are really hopeful that this is one of the last shows before the balance day is late. Because man, does the game suck right now. I was just at a tournament myself this weekend. I know, Jeremy, I don't think you took the weekend off. Anthony, you're taking the edition off at this point, basically.
Whoa. Fucking relax.
Well, I mean, I saw your performance at WTC and I assumed you weren't practicing, so...
Yeah, that's a tough talk from fucking down there and get wrecked by Australia land, cunt.
No, I mean, it's easy to punch up, right? Like, it's a lot harder to punch down. It's really hard for you to reach all the way to the ground.
Well, so. Yeah. Well, no, actually, for me, it's real easy to punch down.
Well, no, I
assume
like your arms would be proportionally shorter, right? So it's like...
No, you just bend my legs like this much, and I can hit the ground.
Okay. And to keep it wildly on topic...
Yeah.
So this episode we're going to be doing a little bit of the standard stats and such coverage, but mostly we're going to be running through Anthony's WTC as part of Team America, who has, I'm pretty sure everybody who's covered a modicum of 40K coverage will know, came second to the WTC this year, which is well done. Now only 7 singles players in the trench coat and 1 team player. They've managed to figure it out all the way to second.
One step at a time.
So yeah, we'll definitely have a decent amount of that from Anthony. Mostly so we can avoid talking about the state of 40K. So I suppose let's get into that. Jeremy, how you doing? We'll do Jeremy, then Anthony. Jeremy, then me, then we'll do Anthony. Because Anthony's going to be most of the show.
Yeah. I'm doing pretty well. I'm on week 2 of my 6-week break from tournaments, which is the longest break I've taken in 2 years. And Francois has twice now asked if he has to stage an intervention because I'll be like, "Ooh, there's a tournament like an hour away, or there's a tournament that's happening in like across the river." Should I? No.
Yeah. Yeah. Should you know?
So instead, I'm just hobbying, which is nice because I haven't hobbied in like 6 months.
That is good. Working on your sisters, or?
Yep. I've got a game against Francois on Thursday where we're going to throw Grey Knights into Sisters and see which one of us slaps harder.
Who's playing the weaker army?
Well, he's playing no Terminator Grey Knights because he doesn't own any.
Just the fast track to depression.
And I'm playing what I've built for Sisters so far.
Yeah.
Which is a very big hodgepodge of pretty much what I thought looked cool when I got the boxes.
How many Predator engines do you have?
How many what?
Predator engines.
0.
How many?
I might assemble 2 tomorrow, but right now I have 0 assembled.
How many Nundums?
3 plus Morven.
Nice. That'll probably be the strongest unit on the battlefield.
The only damaging unit in the Sisters army, but it is pretty damaging. It costs way too many points for that, but it does do the damage.
That strength 12 tank shock off the mace, baby.
Yeah, I looked at that and I was like, that's a really shitty weapon. Strength 12 tank shock matters.
Yep. One of you can suck in melee.
I mean, with Mormon attached, it's not terrible.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I have entered that realm of it really doesn't matter. I'm waiting for that balance day slate, and then I'll start planning for the next 2-3 months of events after that, because I do hit the ground running beginning of October.
What are you looking at in terms of what have you got scheduled?
I've got a GT in Quebec City, October 7th. The weekend of October 14th is currently open, but I might be down at Tampa. And then I've got 2 team tournaments back to back. One in Montreal and then one out in Saskatoon.
So definitely not taking things easy, just taking a break. It makes sense.
Yeah. No, like I'm. This is a let's get caught up with things at home, spend some time with my wife, and yeah, just hope that the slate hits next week and I can start planning what October and November looks like, because then November is Cali Cup and Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah. November is gonna be busy.
Yeah, it is.
Because you guys also have what, Coventry in the middle of that?
I am not doing Coventry. We got asked if we wanted to go to Croatia that weekend as well, but I think that's gonna be a no. It's like, that's too much. I already wasn't doing Coventry. I don't think I can manage Croatia. So,
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
Are you just
Yeah.
staying in the States in between the two things?
no, I'm coming back. I can't. It's like too long. It's like 12 days is like past the pale of what I could justify staying in the States for. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna fly back.
I'm sure we could
It'd be
find you a
cool,
tournament
but-
on the 11th that you could go and torment people at.
I don't want to. I don't like as much as I like it. I had a tough time in Poland with just like getting really homesick for no reason. Of just like it was just a little awkward. I
No,
was just like wanted to be in bed, my own bed for a little bit. So
Yeah.
11 days was kind of like my upper limit. I couldn't do 2.5
Yeah,
weeks.
I mean, by the 8th day of being in Belgium WTC, I was feeling the same way, so I totally relate. But yeah, that's where we're at. How about yourself, Innes?
Yeah, not so bad. I jammed Thousand Suns at a tournament this weekend. Managed to come second to that. I lost my second game to Deathwatch on stream, which was great. I'm just sitting there like, I don't know what my army does. I know what your army does, and I know how I should be beating it, and none of that's happening right now. So it's probably not great for me.
That seems
Uh,
bad, yeah.
As I'm sitting there like I've just turned off the save on that squad of 10 dudes that don't have an invulnerable save. Shot them with 3 squads of rubrics and a character and like the characters attached, and they're still on the objective, and I'm not getting killed on this turn. It's probably not good for me.
That seems bad, yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a great situation. So I had a little bit of that. We played kill more. I didn't kill a unit till turn 4 or score a card till turn 4,
Nice.
which is like,
Strong.
oh, this is my fault. This is definitely my fault. Yeah, I held overwhelming force from turn 1 till turn 4 because like I was at some point I'm going to kill a unit on an objective. I have to, and then
It turns out you don't.
No, apparently not. And then I took the list through Custodes, Chaos Space Marine twice, and Gene Circles, which was a pleasant surprise. The Rhino managed to kill about 4 or 5 plebs by itself, just driving around tank shocking Nexuses and using that movement to consolidate into a Primus to kill a blip and stuff like that. It was great.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Magnus, terrible, dies every game. I hate that guy, but you could not cut him. Not even a little bit. I couldn't imagine playing without him, and I couldn't imagine using him past turn 2.
Somewhere Vic is like screaming at the sky.
He just dies, man. I don't know what to do. Just like, he stood behind a wall all game and died anyway. Like, come on, dude, please.
I don't know much about Thousand Suns. I know that that's not supposed to be how that goes.
I won all the games except the one where he died on turn 2 into Deathwatch was I took 12 damage from the assault cannons, 2 damage from the hail strike, and then I had I had 5 wounds left and 8 3-up saves to make from the frag cannons and failed 5 of the 8 and just died. And I'm like, cool, that's probably not meant to happen, but I'm definitely going to lose now.
Yeah. I am now dead.
Yeah, it was great. But overall, it was fun to learn the army. Definitely a lot of the things that I'm scared of playing into Thousand Suns didn't feel like things I could achieve playing as Thousand Suns. So I'm a lot of it looking, I'm like, maybe I don't need to be worried about this as much as I was, and I can play a little better around that sort of stuff now. So
That's huge.
yeah, it was interesting to kind of get a picture of. Yeah, I never felt like I had the resources that I could make the commitment plays that I was scared of having made into me, which means that I've probably got a better assessment of like what a Thousand Suns army's reach and ability to deal with me looks like now, which is kind of what I was looking for going into it, because I'm expecting Thousand Suns to come out fairly well from sort of like the next set of changes, because they're not probably on the radar as much as they maybe should be at high level play, which means I'm expecting either to be audibly onto them or playing into a lot of them.
Yeah, if I was a betting man, I would say that their power level relative to their like amount in the spotlight is not commiserate.
Yeah, I mean, you could be Arna or Vic or nobody else, and you could be doing, or TJ, I guess, and doing well with Thousand Suns, or other people could exist, and they're not doing that. So
Right. We're gonna have a cat incident in a second here. She's very
Hell yeah.
confused about why
well,
there's.
we had. I don't know if you saw the episode last week, but we just had a cat cam the entire time.
Yeah, I saw.
So-
It was good for morale, given the vague state of things.
The Liam disrespect.
Look, Liam exists. I just can't pronounce his surname. So,
Vissel.
Vessel.
yeah, it's definitely not his surname. But look, I can only remember 2 European players at a time, and the Poles have earned both of the spots. So
Yeah, they have both the slots until next WTC.
And yet you mentioned a non-European player.
yeah, I like TJ.
Yeah.
No, so that's been me. I've got a GT that I'm running this weekend, but I'm also getting to play in because I wouldn't run GTs if I didn't get to play in them, and I'm playing Death Guard for that one. So we're gonna see how that goes. It's gonna be interesting.
You're gonna get me a Death Guard T-Whip?
That is the goal. I reckon I'm not going to, but I'm going to try.
Dude, I hope you get just fucking dunked round 1. Like, I hope you just like pair Brian playing Eldar round 1.
I've already got my pairing. I'm playing against
Oh.
like Ultramarines or something like that.
It would have
Yeah,
been
no.
very funny.
Brian paired into an Eldar.
Compared it
mirror
to his
running-
WTC list.
and Brian didn't bring a Wraith Knight.
Oops.
So yeah, it's gonna be good. Now there were 2 whole Death Guard players listed out this current weekend, so I'm hoping to like get as many wins as they got combined by myself. That's the goal.
Strong.
But no, it'd be cool to get my Death Guard out and see why I'm leaving them in the box for another 6 months and stuff like that. So
Yeah, the first time you have to move 5, it's like, oh.
no, dude,
alright.
I am running Mortarion 3 Player Stores and a Land Raider. I don't move 5. I move 10.
Got it.
That's all I got. All I got is move 10.
And you're just shoving 6 characters inside that Land Raider.
Yep, 3 Foul Blight Spawns and 3 Terminator Chaos Lords.
Uh,
One's got a 10 Poxwalkers, Typhus, and a Flamer Dude and 6 Nurglings.
So it gives
It's
up
gonna
what?
be great.
18 on Bring It Down.
I think it's 18 or 19. I can't remember the math, and it's 27. It's 36 on Assassinate.
it's so bad.
Yeah, it's gonna be awful. I do like the idea. Like Mortarion's aura is genuinely really powerful. So that's all I got. It's the ignore all modifiers within 6 inches of Mortarion
Yeah.
aura.
Well, and
Like,
the
it's
funny
good aura.
casters have like the silly like once
Yeah, I
per game
Didn't bring any of
spam.
those. Didn't bring
Oh.
any of those. They hit on 3s, man. Like I'm not risking that. I'm gonna roll terribly. Auto
Oh.
hit. The Flamers auto hit.
Okay. Sure.
How about that Torrent Life, baby?
Exactly.
Don't those things go to damage 3?
Yeah, but they hit on 3s and they're 2d6 shots. I'm gonna be like 2 hits. Cool, bud.
All
No, thank
right.
you. Cringe. They're 80 whole points, man. I'd rather run a 110 point Chaos Order that does significantly less.
Sick. Dope.
So Innis, they got 4 wins this past weekend.
I
between
can
the
do that.
two players.
That's fine. I can do 4 wins.
Oh shit.
It's
Alright.
it's 11-9 for me, man. I just got to 11-9 my way through.
I see.
Bottom 4-1, 4-11-9s and a 20-0 loss, obviously. 44 points, 4th place. That's the
He
dream.
gets that T-Whip, pairs into Brian on the top tail and goes, all right.
Yeah, goodbye.
It's going to be great. I'm going to have such a
Hello.
fun time. So yeah, that's
No.
how we managed to hit 34 players, which I was super happy with. Last week we were sitting somewhere in like the low 20s, so had a decent last weekend pickup. I think a bunch of people were at the event last weekend and got excited, so a little happier about that. But yeah,
Mid-30s is a solid size for an event right about now.
yeah, exactly. I was very happy with that.
Yeah.
This is actually what I'm really looking for. Like, I don't have to put that in the Goonhammer article. It can say whatever I want.
That's
So-
true. That's true. You do get to be in charge.
So all I'm saying, guys, let's make Death Guard look like the best army in the game right now by having me beat Eldar and GSC 5 times.
Well, you have to just beat Ultramarines once first.
They're basically GSC though, right?
What?
I'll just do a repair. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean you're the TO. You can just change it. Like
I know.
every
Exactly.
round.
I'll
to
just
Brian.
change the result.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brian, you beat this opponent for me. I'm going to play someone else.
yeah, here you go.
You'll have time to play 2 games. Right. I suppose that'll do for it for me. I'm currently, tournamenting. I got tons lined up. But Anthony, I think it's time. So, for the uninitiated, Anthony was the American not captain this year at the WTC. He handled a significant amount of the whole stateside side of the affairs and then handed over to Sean once they got to Europe.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the behind the scenes stuff you couldn't tell us about for WTC, a little bit about your experience at the WTC as a player and as a captain, or semi-captain,
Was not the captain. Fucking watch
semi-captain,
it.
half captain.
I can't believe
Vice
it's not
captain?
captain is what I've been going with.
Yeah, one micro captain.
Yeah, just microdosing captaincy. So, it was definitely like, as far as I'm concerned, like a wildly successful year. Poland as a team like showed historic dominance, and we were the only team to like even make them half second slow down. We were their sole draw. It was like 81-79 or something like that, like a very close draw as well. Everybody else they put 100 plus points on, and that being the only round that we had. That being the only round that they drew was like a huge success for us on top of us getting second. We played it's like, as far as I'm aware, like the killer's line at the event, like we played everybody in the top 5, I'm pretty sure. Because it was we didn't play Australia because they submarined, but like aside from that, we played the rest. The German round actually was like one of the more interesting rounds, but we'll get to that like when we go over the whole thing. I thought that their team was like wildly good, and it was crazy that their end placing does not show how insanely powerful that team was. I don't really know where to start with this. So
Talk us through the prep side of things, like the stuff you couldn't really talk about. How was making Team America this year? What was the journey like?
So after last year, I spent a bunch of time with various, folks, mostly our like international team that we went to Alpine with, and like in general our like wider, like friend circle, to be like, I want to do this and I want to do it properly. What does that look like? And I looked at charters from like 5 teams, and I looked at the practice processes of, even more. And I tried to adopt as much of that as physically possible. So what that turned into was Team America, like vastly increasing its scope. Whereas in the past, the team had been like 8 players, 2 coaches. This year, before Sean had made the initial cuts, when I was still like trying to set up like multiple prospect pools and stuff, I think Team USA when Sean came on was like 30 people, which is too many and not how that was supposed to go, but it was a much larger team. So we essentially started the roster with a handful of like locked in or pseudo locked in starters, and that was me, John Lennon, Jack Harpster, and Jaime Paris. And the 4 of us plus Sean's leadership kind of like formed the like veteran leadership of the team. Josh C, our head coach, he's a fancy army man, so I'm just not going to use his last name on air. Our head coach was like instrumental in like all of the logistics side of things, but as far as like making the 40K happen, it was mostly like that like leadership team kind of setting things up. And then, as you both know, because we scrimmed you guys, we played a shitload of scrims. I think we've played something like 12 scrims by the end of it, between internal and external scrims, between the start of our selection process and like, true go time. And that narrowed down our prospect field pretty heavily. And to what ended up being our final starting roster, which was adding Eric and Matt, Lucas, and then as a team, those 7 players asked Sean to play as the 8th starter, because Sean was very technically a non-playing captain until chosen to be otherwise, and that is likely how Team USA will work in years future, which is a departure from years past where the captain obviously was always playing. So that was kind of our process. That was how we came down to a team. And yeah, that was it. Involved a lot more like working collaboratively as a unit using TTS, and I think it showed at the event that we were a lot more like tight-knit and well prepared. Like the highest praise I got at the event was actually Pumbaa saying that we were the most prepared team they played against. That felt good. When the polls like commend you for your preparation, you did a good job, because those boys go hard. So yeah, as a general rule of thumb, it just felt like, we were a lot more of a team, so to speak, a lot less of that 8 singles players in a trench coat stuff that we had going on.
Yeah, other teams did their best to take that off you this year.
Yes. But it wasn't us.
Cool. Talk to us a bit about your personal preparation. So how did you personally find yourself preparing for the event in terms of army selection, what you were playing, what you wanted to play, what you ended up playing?
So 10th was obviously not my favorite. So
No.
we it was an interesting roller coaster in the beginning, because it was like, okay, so if Drukhari are good, Sean's playing them, and we have like 9 people who are up for playing Marines, so I don't need to worry about Blood Angels. So now like the field of armies that I play starts to like constrict a bit. Harlequins are no longer an army, so that one's out. So it was like, all right, well, what are the options? Thankfully, CSM had like Fist of God levels of damage, so I was always able to kind of make that work, and I like gravitated to that right away. I started the process playing 30 Possessed and 12 Obliterators, and that was just like a little too much.
No subtlety in that list.
Yeah, no, none. I was just like, let's see what it does. That list never even saw like the light of like me playtesting it against other Team USA members. I played like a couple solitaire games on TTS and was like, okay, this is not. I don't need to do this. So yeah. So we like kind of put it through the ringer. I looked at that. I looked at playing Custodes for a little bit when we weren't sure if we were going to need like John playing one of the other armies, because weirdly, like, our unit doesn't have a lot of people that play Imperium armies. So like there was a lot of like, hey, we need a Custodes, IK, Guard, XYZ person to look at this, and like every time we needed one of those, it was John. So it was like, oh, okay. So I ended up looking at Custodes for a little bit. At the time that I was looking at them is when we had just gotten the Caladius rules. So I was like, you have to have these. And then I really did not like playing Custodes with Caladius in the list. So I ended up just not liking it and going back to CSM. And when I went back to CSM, we worked out that like, hey, if you build a CSM list with a bunch of like Nurgle Strat, Lone Op, this, that, the next, you get to choose the terms of engagement. And when you say it's go time, it's fucking heavy on the damage. So it worked out really well. It gave us a natural IK counter, and like kind of in general, just like a big stuff counter. If an enemy put a bunch of wounds in one spot, the game got a lot easier. If they didn't, a little more touch and go, but that's not really an archetype that exists right now. So not too big of a deal. So yeah, that was kind of what I was playing and how I got there. And I generally think it went well. The 2 games that it scored the lowest, like I had a day where I had 2 losses, and they were both my fault. They were like pilot errors, not like the list's fault. So yeah, as a general rule of thumb, I think that went pretty well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I'm
So
glad
here's
you
the-
found a list that you were happy with as well.
Yeah, that was a struggle for a bit, but it worked out mostly fine. Like once, like, like I have a pretty wide wheelhouse of armies, and if all of them are bad, the game is like in a very strange state. So
Yeah, it'd be difficult to have everything from, but then the obvious question that comes up is where are all your armies? Where are the other armies covered for in your team, right? Which is definitely the sketchy thing for your says.
right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when you're dealing with the team environment, it's like you could have 6 viable armies, but if 6 of your teammates each have that as their main army and that's their expertise, you're like, oh.
Yeah, we don't really have. We got a lot of flack for this like last year, but like it kind of held true again this year that we just like don't really have faction experts. That's not really like a thing we utilize.
Well, and especially early in the edition, like faction experts aren't really real.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
the closest you guys had was like Shuckman and
Yeah.
Lucas, right? Who are like, it's a preference army more than a specialism.
yeah,
Well,
for,
and even
like,
Lucas rotated around so much.
Yeah,
so.
we put Lucas through a bit of a spin cycle on different armies there, especially towards the end. Like we ended up taking 2 lists to the event that Sean wrote and one that he had heavily inspired. So like, but one of those was the Orcs list that Lucas played. But for a bit there, Lucas was like on Necrons, on IK, like we were going to look at having him try Custodes, and then we found out that Lucas hates Custodes enough that he would have not started rather than play them. Didn't know that. Now I know. But yeah, he really, really, really does not like Custodes.
Fair enough. Power
yeah.
to the guy.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that was kind of the process. Like, I mean, it worked out. Like, I tried. Obviously, the first thing I tried when the edition changed was World Leaders, and was just like immediately depressed. But maybe in the future, maybe next week, like Games Workshop's like, here's 1,000 extra points, my sweet weak child, and it's like a call an ambulance, but not for me situation. So
I'm sure you're very much desperately looking forward to that. And nobody else is. I'm sure that everybody's terrified of that army being good. So
yeah, they're gonna get like 100 points and remain terrible, but like I can hope. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, yeah, WTC was awesome. I'm very proud of like the team, the work we did. As a general rule of thumb, I think the year was about as successful as it literally could be, given the fact that Poland just decided like, nah, fuck this. This is our event this year. So in the constraints of that, very successful year.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm super glad to see that it all worked out, and that like you stepping on board to help out a ton with the team led to it going the direction you wanted it to be, because that was obviously, you were kind of, I say disappointed after last year. Like, you recognized that there was potential that you guys weren't tapping, and that you then pushed towards that and made it happen. Like, it's awesome to see.
Yeah,
and
I mean, I'm
proud that there's a probably, and everybody but England and probably not America. I'm glad that probably's in there.
Yeah, I'll take the probably. It's good enough. I mean, a lot of it was stuff that I had like picked up again from looking at the more successful teams, right? Like I literally changed how we do our matrix entirely to be like, all right, we're doing this now after Alpine, like, and that was helpful in, the process. Yeah, things went well.
No, that's good.
No,
do you want to? Oh, sorry,
go ahead.
Jeremy.
I was just going to say that the work that you guys did and the prep that you did really shone through. And I'll also say, just as an outsider's view, your coaching staff seemed top notch.
Oh yeah, they are heroes. We got a little bit of shit before the event, like for having like 8 coaches or something like that. And then like at the event, it felt like we actually needed all of them. Having that many let people get breaks, like let like all the random things that need to happen at the WTC get done. It was huge. It was like a massive part of our success was that like the players could just play.
I'm still gonna give you shit for it though. Like, that's so many coaches.
I mean, you can give us as much shit as you'd like, but you have to take less players from us to do it.
That's right. I'm still gonna give you shit. I actually couldn't care less about my reputation in this situation. America had so many goddamn coaches. You couldn't look around the room without seeing like 4 people, like just in eyesight in an American jersey at all times.
That's right.
It was actually, it's like how you can you like, I think if you walk around Mechlin, there's still 3 American coaches there prepping for next year.
Yeah, we're just keeping an eye on like the most efficient pathing routes to and from the venue.
Yeah, they're just going down every bookstore, making sure there's a Bible for every bed.
That's right. Yeah, it's important. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool. Do you want to run us through a super high level of the 7 rounds you guys played, how it went, how you felt about it? Any funny stories? The funny stories is what people are really here for. So
yeah, of course. So the first round we played Cyprus. Super nice lads. Fairly large mismatch. We gave them like the due respect of a team at the WTC though. We were like up the night before, looking for matrix, looking at doing the pairings, like we did the thing. And then we mostly got favorable pairings, and then I thought I was about to eat the largest knife-eared dong in the room. And then my opponent's like the table was just a bit yikes for him, and then he moved his Wraith Knight into a position where he couldn't get away from me. And then I rolled a 6 on Abaddon's advance and was stood next to him. And I was like, would you like to Phantasm the Wraith Knight and make my 5-inch charge a 6? Or would you like to Phantasm the Wraith Guard unit so they get shot by 1 Forge Fiend and not 2? Up to you. So
yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, it was not a good day for the elves in that one. Yep. Like we played Cyprus. They were super nice, super awesome. We like talked to them a bunch after the round, like great guys.
They basically adopted Fox for the weekend. Like,
They did. My beloved homie Brandon Fox got picked up by them, and they just hung out all weekend, which is good. He was joking about playing as a merc for them next year, but I'm like not confident how much he was joking, so we'll see.
I mean, he had fun that week, so it could very well come back.
I mean, he's definitely going back. I just don't know if he's playing for Cyprus. So yeah, that was that. That was like, you know, on the weird one round Thursday. Like that was good, and I'm glad they did it that way. That round probably could have afforded to have been earlier in the day. Like maybe start with that and then let the singles finish.
No, dude, it's very, very important. Very important. The round one finishes at 10:30 at night.
It was
very normal.
It was real weird.
Yeah, that was part of my general feedback as well. It's just like,
it was
just
bizarre.
Put round one Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, it was strange.
Not Thursday morning, just Thursday afternoon, and then do the finals for the War Masters after that.
Sure.
And the reason you do that is because then you get your maximum. You maximize your broadcasting for the singles.
That makes sense.
Because then everyone can watch it.
But what happened instead was way funnier. So we got
100%.
But you consider the walking out
I'm poking fun at him right now.
At 10:30 to go for, you know, dinner the night. Like getting to sleep between round one and round two was quite nice, actually.
Yeah,
it was infinitely better than the 4-round Friday we had last year.
Three, but
round.
Yes, yeah, it
Yeah.
felt like
Yeah,
4.
That
was a long day. So then we played Northern Ireland. They were awesome. Everybody loves them. Similar experience, bit of a mismatch, but they did well. The pairing to them, like same thing, like, you know, we took like the pods super seriously so that we could try and do what we did last year, which is score a shitload of points and come out of it with like a head on tie breaks, because it actually helps a ton when you do that, rather than just being like, the pod's easy, it's gonna be easy, we'll just chill, no big deal. It's like, nah bro, we come out of these pods with like 100 and like pushing for that 400 point pod. Like
Speaking as a team that got ground in, like had grindy pod games and came the lowest in our set on tie breaks.
Yeah.
You want to crush teams in pods, and if you can't do that, you are probably going to play slower.
Yeah, you want to like as much as physically possible, like almost like flex in the pods. So that was that. Played Northern Ireland, went well. Victory for Team America, nice. Then we played Denmark. So Denmark was the first time that this happened, but this happened twice at the event, where we attacked a Knight Defender with me and something else, and they were like, give me that CSM, I'm a 10-10 that shit, and then got violenced. Like just woo boy.
You don't take that matchup. That's not a good matchup, guys.
Yeah, happened twice. I think some of that is just like not like, and like there was like little signs along the way, like I would go to do a thing and then like the other person like would have vect. All 7 games I played at the WDC, the person vected the wrong CSM strat, by the way. If they had access to it, like every time. The only person that got it right was Germany. So anyway, played against Denmark. My game went super well because I got a favorable matchup. Broadly, the round went well. It was just like there was a little bit in the middle where you could tell like some of the inexperience of the coaches because they got like real scared, and it was like, no, it's gonna be fine. We have a bunch of matchups that are okay. Just that one went badly. It's fine.
And every single one of your players is under predicting because they don't know what they're doing yet.
Yeah. Like we're like, you know, getting into the matchup. We're like doing things. It's gonna be fine. It just, you know, it's gonna be okay. So we ended up winning that round. Denmark played us super close, and I think they finished quite well.
Denmark finished 13th. We played them in the last round.
Yeah, they were real good. Shout out to the captain; he was super cool. So
don't give Martin and Michael that. They're not cool.
Dude, he was cool.
No, they were totally chill when we played them.
I know they are. I'm joking.
Yeah.
I have to rag on him because I've played him like twice now.
Yeah. I've apparently didn't. So the answer to the what is the right thing to vect question for CSM, it depends on what you are playing, which is why I phrased the question that way. It's not just the untargetable or just the rerolls. It depends on what you're playing. If you're a GSC though, and you vect Profane Zeal, I am going to like mock you. Like,
No.
I
Yeah,
am
man,
going to
they
kill
your
you
stuff anyway.
if I use it or if I don't. Don't do that. Vect the untargetable, please.
GSC players,
Um,
guys, GSC players, just Vect Armor Contempt. It's the significantly scarier one for you. Like, if they ever use it, just turn that off. That don't matter.
You can't have
Oh.
them using that for 2 CP. It has to be at least 3 CP for CSS.
Yeah, I'm also just never. All right, whatever. Anyway, so that was that. And then in round 4, who did we play? Oh, that was Germany. So played Germany straight into round 4. So this is like the. I'll read that in a bit.
Yeah, I just wanted to shout it out.
So in round 4 we played Germany. We had a slightly spooky moment in pairings where in the scrum Death Rat guessed what we would do for each step and got each part of it right. Like before we flipped the defender, he called the faction. Before he flipped the like refused, he called the refused. And then he called which one we would take too. And we were like,
that is unsettling when they're
That-
right more
yeah,
than
that
once,
was-
twice in a row.
dude, he was right all 4. Like
Yeah,
all 4 of the, it
That's
was like
that's
it was
terrifying.
like, hey, relax.
You can stop doing that. I don't even care if you're right that you were like. I don't even know if it's good for you that you're right here.
Yeah,
but
it doesn't matter. I don't like, even if you just guessed and were right, I don't like that shit either. Like, just stop that. So yeah, there was like a couple minutes of like, oh shit, there.
is
So
that the closest you got to the Poland cheer?
no, it was just like, I'm pretty immune to that type of psychic damage now. Nothing will ever replicate the Polish cheer. So excuse me. So the round itself went pretty well. The guy I played was a fucking gem. His name is Grisha, I believe. They call him Gigi.
Yeah, the Demons player.
Yep, he was super good. I was a touch over aggressive because I had smashed some demons like all through testing, and then I smashed some demons at the event. I was like feeling good. And then I got a little too rowdy and like got beat up a bit. At the end of the game, literally what gave us the win rather than the draw is he had a 1 wound bird go to like hazardous attack my blue scribes on an objective. And he was like, I'm not going to hazardous. And if you die, that's great. And then his coach walks up and goes, hey, we need you to push. And he was like, all right, I'll hazardous. Rolls the hazardous check, rolls the 1, hands me 8 points. So that was cool. That literally cost them the round. I mean, I'm sure there was like a bunch of things in a round that like makes it a win and not a draw when it's like an 86-point win, but whatever. Like as far as me and him were concerned, that was what did it.
Provo don't even have a CP to reroll the hazardous check.
I vected CP reroll on turn 1.
Oh,
Get out of here.
heartbreaking.
He went
The
to
only
CP.
stratagem that matters for demons.
Yeah, he CP'd a save on Shalaxi, and I was like, fuck that. No, don't do that again. So yeah, that was that round. We won very narrowly.
86-94, right? Like literally the definition.
Yeah,
of that.
literally the point to win. Like just in there. So that was good. Nice. Following round was Poland. That was not ideal.
Germany
Playing-
into Poland. Great way to just burn yourself out on day
yeah,
3.
just like really hitting it hard. So from like a personal perspective going into this round, I was a little bit tilted that I had played that Demons round poorly. And it does not get better as a spoiler. So lined up to play the Polish, everything looks good. The only problems is we have a pair of matchup for me personally. We have a pair of matchups in there that I have like no info on, and it's real hard to make like pairing decisions with like I have no idea. Those 2 things are Thousand Suns and Dark Angels with a Redeemer. So I have them in my matrix as like draw-ish because I'm like not sure. But on this mission with no center objective, when he has 2 bricks and there's 2 middle objectives, and those 2 middle objectives are how you score all the points, this matchup is bad. So I got smashed. Now, I got smashed worse than I probably should have. There was a lot of like little misplays along the way that probably could have made this like a 5-6 rather than a 2, but it is what it is. As a general rule of thumb, that round was dope. That my opponent that I played, Leishu, is a gem. I love that guy. He puts like some type of spell on me when we play. This is now the second time that this has happened where I've played him and played badly. I played him when I was playing World Eaters and he was playing Demons, and I got like 13-7, just like smacked. It was like the only time I've lost playing as World Eaters. Don't know what happened there, but he just like hit me with the charm and my brain turned to goo. And
Unless
he
he does have one of those voices that's just like, this guy clearly knows what he's talking about, and then he doesn't at all, but he makes it sound like it.
Yeah,
It's
he's
great.
really
I love
got
that
you.
guy.
He's very good. So yeah.
What was the was this the Land Raider that hit the 6 on the advance?
Yeah, so he goes first, which is like suboptimal. He goes first, rolls the advance, hits the 6. The entire middle of the board, where all the tactical secondaries get scored, is covered by the Land Raider Overwatch now, and it's on an objective. So I'm like, oh, all right, this seems fine. I like didn't pay too much attention to it because he didn't like measure that the Overwatch was covered or whatever. He just like moved his unit. I was like, all right. So I go to like look at moving my blue scribes and I like measure into the middle and I'm like, wait a second. And I measure to his Land Raider and I'm like within 9. And I'm like, oh, I'm not even vaguely gonna get area. Like I drew area denial turn 1, which is dope. But that happened. So less dope. Yeah, there was like, I don't know. There was like a lot of like little things that happened. I shot a full Profane Zeal Oblit unit at the Land Raider. It just like didn't die, even though it only had 10 health. Unlucky. Shit happens. So yeah, that was the round. We did really well, I think, by drawing them. Clearly, everybody else, they scored 100 or higher. So good job, Team USA, for covering the gap when in a round where I threw. Yeah.
Ishik has a question for you from that round, which is, apparently you guys didn't notice that Skark was the guard player during pairings?
That's not true.
Or no, I have no idea what he's talking
we
about.
literally did all of the pairing the night before, like, hey, this list is Skark. Pay attention.
Respect this.
Yeah. Respect it. Also, it's put up 1 billion points, so respect it. Like, don't make the mistake we made
You
last.
probably also got Ben sitting there at that point, like who's played 5 games of guard now, or 4 games of guard at that
Well,
point.
no, he was set by you, right? Oh, you're saying at the night before.
The night before,
exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So yeah. The part of the problem with this round is that we had like 30 minutes to prep for it, right? Or like, whatever it is, like an hour. We had the lunch break to get ready for Poland. So like in an ideal world, this would have been like round 6, but not
Yeah,
the
I
world
don't know
we
how
live
you
in.
guys felt about that one, just kind of tangenting off that. We definitely found round 3, 5, 7 to be the significantly harder rounds in terms of you get a lunch break to prep for them, as opposed to the other one. You can't sit. It's a lot harder to look at things like what people have played against, what boards they've been wanting to play on, and things like that. So we definitely missed a bunch of stuff that I don't think we would have if we'd had a little more time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely hurt as the most on game 7, where we only had the hour lunch break instead of the hour and a half, which definitely was
we
even
had
worse.
it narrowed down to who we could play by the last day, so it wasn't so bad, we found, but we were also dealing with a narrower pool because of where we were in the event.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just harder to prep in the tinier window. I definitely did not take mission into account as much as I should have when I thought about this. So excuse me. Yeah. So that was the round. We drew Poland. Still feeling really good. I took a much different mindset this year where I wasn't necessarily caring if we won rounds. I just cared if we were still in contention, and that seemed a lot healthier because people would be running around trying to push, do all this stuff. I'd be like, yo, it's a draw. It's close to a draw. Stable draw. Doesn't have to get crazy. If we draw Poland and we're just keeping the dream alive, we're good. But that maybe is a perspective thing. It just felt better to be
with 7 rounds, you can definitely tank a draw and still be fine, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was a lot happier with that. So yeah, that was that. Fucked off, went to sleep, did some pairings. England in the morning. So getting ready to play against England. Obviously, anybody but. So we had a lot on the line in this one. Generally, the round was weird. I think there was a lot of unexpected flips that happened. So we got our Eldar into their Custodes and vice versa, but John scrapped her a 7. whereas Matt managed to pull a 20. So like that was a big swing. Like I pulled 10 off Porter, which is not, normally how that goes. But the mission actually, like I had some things go my way, so normally you'd be able to push it more, but the mission being like score 15 for being alive at the end when he's playing GSC was like, okay. So I also think me and him had like very different understandings of like what was going on in that game. Like I started to get up on him a little bit early, and I think he was given like the like, oh, I'm gonna get like 3 points feedback, and I'm over here just like running my score up, not paying any attention to his points because I'm just like, don't get zeroed by GSC, don't get zeroed by GSC, don't get zeroed by GSC. So like we ended up like we get to the end and he's like, oh, it's a 10, and I'm like, yeah, it's a 10, sick. And he's like, didn't you think you were gonna? I was like, no, not at all. So yeah, it was pretty funny. But yeah, some other flips in the round, like, like our Deathwatch took a bit more, like had some like rough turns apparently into their CSM, took a bit of a beating. Like Sean was like planning to push more into their Deathwatch, didn't quite. Obviously the Vic like putting the power of all of the Thousand Suns, like all 1,000 of them into Lucas's Orcs was definitely a bit of an eye-opener, how much of the Infernal Masters changed that matchup. Turns out Torrent and higher strength, good. What? Crazy. So yeah, as or we just this one, like this is another example of us like just squeaking it. We got the draw with a 75 or 74, like whatever the bottom number for a draw. Yeah, whatever the bottom number for a draw is, we got. So that was that round. It was real scary. Because like when I got the 10-10, it was really early in the round, so it was like, oh, we should win, things look good, and then like some other stuff went off the rails and it was like very nerve-wracking, but it worked out. Got a draw, like I said, still in contention.
Yeah, WC does a great job of it being 8 games that all somehow go off the rails and average out to exactly what you thought it was going to be.
Oh, dude, that was so stressful.
It's like 4 of our games are up and 4 of our games are down. Oh my god.
Yeah, exactly.
And every single one is stressful in its own different way now.
Oh, just to hit a pet peeve real quick. This is like just like a thing that annoys me now. I don't know if this is just like maybe this will get better with time, but like it really bothers me when people like qualify the way a round went by saying like high side of a draw or like low side of a draw. Like, bitch, that doesn't matter. It's a draw. Who gives a fuck?
If you got 75, like, all right, man, low side of a draw. 75 and 85, I'm cool with it. Anything else, no, thank you.
Draw. Like, I feel the same way about losses though. Like, and it frankly
whether
wins.
you lost, you just
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah, if you lost, you just lost. The only thing that needs a qualifier is if you got 100 or higher. Then you get to be like, oh, what's up? But like past that, draw's a draw, L's an L, move on with your afternoon. Anyway, so then we went into Sweden. And the pairings of this one was the most interesting because we were like, look, Sean's the top scorer of the event, doing really well, but if we pair him into Eldar right now, we get 3 other matchups we want. Sean was like, it's time, let down his hair, went full Jesus pose, dove on the sword, and died horrifically. They were done in 30 minutes, if that. Sean was like, I'll try it and see how it goes, and like went first and like lost both Tyrannifexes and was like, fuck this, thanks, bye. And like went and got a beer and like went around trading dice. It was like, I got 20, good luck, boys.
What we expected to happen happened. Oh
yeah,
no.
Yeah, it was very powerful energy though, to be like, he screened the whole board and killed my monsters, and then I tried to kill him back and failed to kill a Warwalker, so I just conceded because fuck this shit.
Why are Warwalkers so tanky, boys?
Yeah, unlucky. So yeah, hilarious, absolutely hilarious. So yeah, we got a bunch of like favorable pairings that kind of worked out our way. I talked to John JSJ about this round a bit because like it seemed like from our perspective, like we picked the pairings. Like we literally went through card by card and was like, we want all these
dictated
things.
how things were gonna go.
Yeah, but that's not actually what happened. So like they took like some coin flips that didn't work out. They had a bad matrix for their knights into me again. And that's just like how that goes sometimes. Sometimes you get spine shattered in a matchup where you expect to draw. But yeah, that was it. We finished the event in the second with 2 draws. no losses, all wins for the rest. My favorite stat of the weekend is that GSC was 0-6-1 against us with a total score of 33 points out of 140. We set up the team going into the event with a plan to trap GSC because we had worked out that they seemed trappable. And then we just like Omega committed the comp to doing it, and it worked really well. It was a huge part of our success as a unit. So,
we'll say that was also a winning strategy. Like we tried the same thing, and it worked very well for the level we were playing at as well. So,
yep,
it was definitely a good way to approach the event this year.
Yeah, it worked out super well. Could not commend it more. So, yeah, that was it. That was the WDC from Team America's perspective, or my perspective on Team America.
Yeah, it's probably. I mean,
you are Team America
right?
now.
That's
Anthony
not quite how it works.
Anthony confirmed he is Team America. Like that's how that is now.
Yeah, something like that.
Cool. The last question I have: how was the social side of it for you? How was being back in Belgium?
Oh, amazing! It's the best. Everybody loves WDC. WDC was so great that I asked Anna if she wanted to go back, and she got offended. She was like, "What? Yeah, of course." I was like, "Oh, excuse my bad." So yeah, that side of things was great, amazing. Loved it. Definitely gotta like coordinate my hotel purchasing situation a little bit better next year. But like aside from that, yeah, it was amazing. The social part of WTC is the best part. It's like why you go. Despite the game being a nightmare, the WDC was still great.
Perfect. Right. Thank you, Anthony, for covering your WDC experience. Let's quickly do the stats. Then I'm going to hit the plugs, and then we'll move on to questions and finish up.
Sounds good.
Do we have to?
Yeah, we have to.
All right.
After that stunning coverage. Oh, do you want to?
Yeah. So after WTC, I went to Iceland, and then I got engaged. Yay! Woo!
We don't have confetti, but I wish we had confetti.
Yeah, insert confetti here. So yeah, that was awesome. Shout out to my lovely now fiance, Anna. Wouldn't be able to do any of this without her. She's a huge part of how I'm able to do all these crazy things that I do. Love her very much. And yeah, we're engaged.
And she is a wonderful person who is very sleepy. So
yeah, she sleeps a lot. Yeah.
This is a lucky woman. Yeah, 100% agreed. Okay, Jeremy, stats. Here you go.
Right.
I'm gonna give you the Steve Jobs.
Oh no, don't do that. All right,
Tell us
I'll run through this real fast to try to spare everyone the pain. So this past weekend we had 13 events. 9 of them were won by Eldari. One of them was won by Thousand Suns. One of them was won by Orcs. One of them was won by Necrons, and one of them was won by Imperial Knights.
Well done, Arna, for being one of the few non-Eldar wins at the tournament that nerfed Eldar.
Yep. And shout out to, I can't remember his name now, but the Imperial Knight player was someone that had been working with Tim Penny from our group. They kind of basically coached him through. And I can't confirm this because I haven't looked at it, but apparently it was his first 5 games of 10th.
Stunning indictment of Knight players there. Thank you.
Yep, he had 7 models on the table, and
fuck that army.
Yep, it was something. So I'll just run through the win rate and over stats real quick. Eldari had a 73.5% win rate. They made up 13% of the meta this weekend. They had 9 event wins, 21 top 4s, and 33 top 10s for a 3.11 over rep.
It's so brutal every time.
I know.
Like every time, it's like a new level of just like fuck.
Oh my god, how is this bad still?
Yeah.
The worst part about this in particular was I made a mistake in my stats, and I had accidentally transcribed 2 differential events back improperly, and I was like, oh, okay, Eldari are down to like 67%. They're actually slipping a little bit. And then I fixed it, and it went up to 73, and I was like, oh. No, this just sucks. Thousand Suns, 24 players, 5% of the meta, 63.3% win rate, 1 event win, and 6 top 4s for a 2.3 over rep.
That's my faction, baby.
Yep. Then I will go through the others in the top 5. We have Orcs, 14 players, 2.9% of the meta, 1 event win, 3 top 4s for a 1.97 over rep, 57.2% win rate. Then we have Necrons, 36 players, 7.5% of the meta, They had a 53.8% win rate, 1 event win, and 5 top 4s for an over-rep of 1.28. And then finally, rounding out the top 5, we have Imperial Knights, 28 players, 5.9% meta representation, a 53.1% win rate, 1 event win, and 2 top 4s for a 0.66 over-rep. And that's it for like the top 5 armies won all the events this weekend.
Nice.
Yes, Eldari won 9 out of 13 of them,
didn't, right?
but GSC did not win because GSC was the 6th army.
GSC was the
Because
GSC
GSC
players
had
stay losing,
GSC had
guys.
15 players for a 3.1% meta rep and a 52.1% win rate.
Yep.
GSC looking real balanced right now, and I'm impressed.
Yeah. Also-
1 week blip.
Also, just don't think Imperial Knights are that good.
I'm with you. I mean, I've been saying that for months, and everybody keeps telling me off. So maybe
Oh yeah, I wasn't here to join you in the
Like, no, I'm
Imperial
sorry.
Knights aren't good.
Imperial Knights are
crusade.
not a good army. They're just good at beating up on bad armies.
Yeah.
I will say the Imperial Knight player that won his event went through World Leaders round 1, so whatever. And then Thousand Sons, Eldari, Guard, and Chaos Demons.
I will caveat that with of like all the armies in the game, they are the one that's like the most liable to like just do it to you.
Yes,
Like
100%.
when you're like, it's fine. Sometimes they just like walk up on you and blow you away, and you're like, okay, never mind. No,
Well, and
it's
especially
not.
when one of the models in that list is Canis,
Right, exactly.
where he just goes, I'm going to roll nothing but 5s today.
Yeah. I had Canis blow through a 10 block of Custodian Guard, and I was like, could you not? Like,
Yeah.
Exploding 5s, bro. They do be what it is.
yeah, it just fell
Yeah,
all the
and
saves,
then
die.
we'll just to inflict psychic damage on people. We'll go through the bottom 5 armies that had
Oh.
10 or more players. Bottom of them were Blood Angels, 10 players with a 28.3% win rate. No top 4s, no, 2 top 10s though.
Hey,
So
then you
all the
have,
wins were 2 guys.
probably actually.
yeah.
Space Wolves with a 32.9. No top 4s and also 2 top 10s. World Eaters with a 37.5%. Only 1 top 10 for them and no top 4s. And then World Eaters had 2 top 10s. It was
I'm
Space
actually impressed
Marines
the World
with
Eaters
their,
had 10 players. Like, that's a lot.
Look, that army is super fun. It's just not good. So
Yeah, there was a guy at our event who had Angron just running about, never dying, and it did look pretty fun.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I played a 2,500 point game of World Leaders the other day with no Angron on the list, and it was a blasty blast. As long as you play against armies that are playing with like 25% less resources than you, it's fun.
Yeah, I can see that. One of the interesting things to note is that like Codex Space Marines, there were only 27 players. They made up 5.6% of the meta. Non-Codex Marines actually outnumbered them 2 to 1.
People are finally realizing Gilliman's not actually that good.
Yeah. And yeah, that's where we're at. And then, of course, we got to go for at least one that's perfectly in the middle of the pack, and that's Chaos Demons. 22 players, 4.6% of the meta, exactly a 50% win rate, but only 1 top 4, so they have an over-up of 0.42.
Anthony, you
yeah,
need to come and save these people. Show them how singles works again.
When we have a meta that is fun, we will do that.
It didn't stop Anthony and Drakari meta.
What happened?
Oh, you were happy to play in a meta that wasn't fun when it was Drakari that were on top. So
Yes. True. I think that meta was fine. It wasn't this.
you do. No one else does.
I don't know. Admech came out right away and
They
leveled
did
it
not
off.
come out right away.
Yeah. It was like 3 months.
3 months and two nerfs in.
Yeah, what's a couple of months and nerfs between friends?
We know. Anyways, yeah, nothing has really changed in the stats aside from GSE slipping a little bit this week. We'll see this upcoming weekend if that holds, because we've got Nova and a whole bunch of other big events this weekend.
But mostly Nova.
Mostly Nova, yeah. Which GW terrain layouts, I think they favor GSC.
They can. There's a lot of terrain on the board which can be bad for sightlines for them, but it's not too bad.
Yeah, we'll see.
I think they're best for like towering, unfortunately. But
Yes, they are. But remember, there were no knights in the top
strong but
four.
not dominant.
No, that's
Strong.
Eldari. That's not knights.
It could be both.
Oh, I guess Eldari have towering, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
Is double Wraith Knight good, Jeremy, or am I just seeing
Double Wraith Knight is extremely good on those tables.
No. And there's not like there's a ton of nooks and crannies for Wraithguard Tide or anything like that. That
Yeah, but what if
No,
you get
definitely
shot
not.
back? You can't hide Wraith Knights on GW turn.
You're right, you can. And 50% of the time, that might almost kind of matter sometimes.
Cool.
Yeah, and when you have two and they use all of their resources to kill the one,
Almost
the
the
other
other
one-
one, usually.
almost, yeah, then the other one tables you.
And his -1 to wound the entire game.
Ugh,
The rest of the
pain.
game.
I don't know. Eldar players fill that one turn in like 12, so.
It's true.
Is that true? Doesn't feel true.
No, it doesn't, does it? Like, I've never seen the Exalted Sorcerer on disc fail his power.
Yeah.
That can fail.
It fails on a 1, yeah.
Huh.
Fails on a 1 and he smites himself.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's it takes D3 mortals.
Never seen him fail it. Never once.
But just once, I want to be at an event where someone decides to run him solo and just kills himself in 2 activations.
I was running 2 and I was like setting up to like double cast on the same unit just in case, and then just every other thousand players like you're just like, no, it's fine. 1 is enough. I'm just not gonna fail it.
Oh, that's what you were doing wrong. You were setting up 2, you fool.
No, I was making sure that things didn't go wrong instead
No,
of
you idiot.
it do be how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, into like custodians that can't shoot you back, who cares, right? But anyway, I'm going to do the plug very quickly, and then we'll move on to show questions. So, thank you for being with us for episode 58 of Stat Check so far. This episode is What Are We Doing? And what we are doing is the plugs. So, you should check out YouTube.
So scuffed.
If Anthony breaks, I'm going to break. I'm sorry. You should check out the show every week, Tuesday at 11 p.m. UK, or whatever that is in your local time zone. YouTube.com/c/statcheck, or wherever you get your podcasts, all that kind of thing. We really do appreciate you guys checking out all the stuff we do there, whether that's us, End of the Matrix, X&1, whatever else is going on with the network at the moment. If you're in a position to, we would love it if you could check out the Patreon at patreon.com/statcheck. For $5 a month, you can get access to our wonderful Discord community where you can hear about all of the news about Anthony significantly sooner, like finding out that he is now currently going to be in engagement range for a long time, which is, as discussed, his favorite place to be.
True.
Please do check out the other shows on the network. That is X&1 and End of the Matrix. X&1 is every other Thursday, End of the Matrix is every other Wednesday. I believe X&1 is going to be live tomorrow at the time of recording, though, because Tim is traveling to Nova.
Yep.
So they will be live tomorrow discussing something related to 40K.
Nova.
Probably Nova, but I don't really know what that show's about, if I'm being honest.
You're gonna be talking about Tim going to Nova, you fucking lummox.
I don't know look, man, you know what Cliff is like. Cliff, that episode could be about credit cards again, and I would have no way of knowing beforehand.
Yeah, because all you do is just stare lovingly at Cliff when you watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the End of the Matrix will be back with Nathan and Typhus next week. They just launched their first proper debut episode, so do go and check that out. It was running through the stats and statistics, or the stats of WTC and their takeaways from it. Please check out red-dragon.ca, which is our merch sponsor. They run all of our dice and objective markers and stuff like that. If you are a Patreon member, you get a 50% discount code, and they do ship internationally. Please do check them out. It helps us out. It helps them out, and it means we can keep doing cool stuff like this and sponsoring things like our TTS League. You can also check out Saltar Games on Etsy. They do all of our tokens and stuff like that. It's just Saltar Games on Etsy. I believe they're on a break for another week, but then they should be back pretty soon. I know Jeremy got a big load of that stuff taken back to Canada with him that he's very happy with.
Yeah, actually, I got a deep strike marker and a combat gauge for every single member of Team Canada. So gave them all that before we started the week. And then Saltar Games also gave me, AJ was very generous and gave us half a bag of combat gauges as well. So I just was basically walking around the entire week handing them out to anyone who was trying to figure out 3 inches.
Entirely fair. And lastly, stat-check.com/coaching, stat-check.com/coaching for myself and Typhus. If you're interested in improving your 40K in any way, please do check it out. We would love to give you a hand, especially as we move into what is broadly super major season again. We've got LGT, we've got LVO, we've got a bunch of the GW events coming up. If you're interested in getting some help, please do check it out. It's a big help to us, and I'm doing it full time. Typhus is doing it on the side. It's nice. That's it. All I got for the plugs. Thank you everybody for being with us for episode 58 so far. We are now going to do the questions from the Discord, which we're very prepared and definitely have prepared in advance.
Imagine being ready when you could not be ready instead. Here, look, I can show people the cat. Well, you do
Yeah,
that.
You should do that.
Yeah, the problem for me always is if I don't create the thread, I never find it.
Typhus created it. It's...
Yeah, I know. I got it.
Oh, I'm playing Typhus this weekend. That's cool. Not like Typhus, but Typhus game Typhus. Did it intentionally. Cat. Anthony, fold your laundry.
No.
All right.
Also, that's
Anthony?
not laundry. Hold on.
What is it?
She's like covering her face. It's real cute. I just can't get the angle.
You're going to disturb her.
I do that all the time. On
Yeah,
purpose, because she wakes us up. So I just wake her up whenever I see her napping.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The first question was from Kels. Any tips or recommendations for moving large models around terrain quickly and accurately? Don't.
Bring spare bases.
Yes, spare bases.
Spare bases are cutouts that are in the same shape as your base, and then just bop, bop, measure the movement of each one. Like bring especially if it's like a knight, on a full size base, bring 2. And you can basically get around any corner without ever being a single bit of argument from your opponent. And if you do it with little paper cutouts, you can actually just put the knight on top of the second one after you've finished your movement. And you'd be like, he's there, right? Good. And then pull the paper out.
You can do that with the base too. It's just a little clunkier.
Or you can do what Alex Taus did and just magnetize his knights to all the bases, so you could just put a different base down and take his knight.
Oh, that's-
onto the other one.
All right, that is...
That Taos guy is smart sometimes.
No,
Sometimes.
don't give him that. What was your biggest surprise list performance at WTC for Anthony? What list performed better than you thought, and what were a letdown?
One more time. It was good, better, bad.
Surprise, better, letdown.
Okay. Surprise. What was a surprise? I didn't really feel like too caught out by how any of our stuff was going.
Deathwatch.
That's
Yeah.
letdown.
Yeah, I mean Deathwatch and GK both go in like the letdown bucket, but I don't think anything was really like terribly surprising.
Was
There
there
was
anything you felt like you had missed then?
yeah, like not taking T-Suns, I think. I mean, I've talked about this a couple of times, I guess, like privately, but like not taking T-Suns, I think we regret. Not taking guard was probably a oopsie. But like there would have had to have been like really significant like roster shakeup. Not like who was playing, but like who was playing what to like allow those armies to end up on the team. So it would have been tough. But yeah, like I'm trying to think if there's anything that I think Sean's like NID list was a bit better than we were not expecting it to be. We were expecting it to be good, but better than it was expected to, if that makes sense. Like I think it got the pairings it wanted a couple of times out of like unrelenting disrespect.
It's always the funnest way to get a pairing.
That just like it had been doing well against all these things the entire time, and someone just looked at it and was like, fuck you, I can do better, and just didn't. So yeah, that was that. What was the middle one?
Any list that performed significantly better than you thought it were, which you just covered anyway. So
Yeah, no, there was like again, that was pretty much just like Sean's did. Everybody else pretty much like did the thing that we expected them to do. Custodes ended up being a little bit better into Eldar if it could defend than we expected it to. We thought that was going to be a shellacking regardless, and it just like wasn't. So that was
Custodians
good.
on board choice get like 7 and do everything. It's quite funny.
Yeah, or like 15 into CSM, but yeah.
Yeah, or 20 into knights. That was the revelation. People tried attacking Custodians on board choice with knights, and like it's not ever.
Yeah,
going
it
to
seems
go well.
bad. Definitely don't do
You get
that.
this. You get this. You just get slammed on a super L, and the Custodians are like,
Yep.
Yeah,
"Come on,
baby.
them."
Yeah, gone. Oh,
Yeah, I know, right?
God, that seems bad. I did get to like watch. I didn't like see this happen at the event because I wasn't looking for it. But in practice, you could tell the first time someone played against John, and he like rapid ingressed and then rapid ingressed again with his custodians and just put like 30 custodians in one part of the board where there was previously 6, and the other person would just be like, what? Yeah, that was pretty funny.
How do I deal with this now?
Yeah, good luck. It's your turn, and then it's mine. So Godspeed. And then yeah, the 2 armies that I think like underperformed relative to what could have been in their slots were Deathwatch and GK.
I'm surprised at the GK, like, because it feels like Jack's been fairly high on that in all the post-event coverage.
They were fine. Like, they definitely could have just been basically anything else.
They were your 8, so
yeah,
Yeah.
but like they were our 8th, but we cut what was like ostensibly by the end of the event was people's like army 3 and 5 and Guard and Sons. So like it was our 8, but it probably could have been like our 12. I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
yeah, and everyone's gonna have their own take on how that went in terms of like the relative performance.
Yeah, and it like ended up cannibalizing some matchups that could have been better for others to like get to where it ended up. But like
Mhm.
I'm not like mad that we took it, and I think that Jack did a good job within the constraints of the army that he had, but I think it could have been a better army.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Nick asked how much you missed Caissons, but you've covered that. And then, are you running 6 Norns or 6 Norns from Grant? Oh my god, they revealed the Norn this week. Oh my god, they showed us the Norn rules. Oh my god, I'm buying 6.
Yeah, I'll probably get a couple. They seem dope. They seem really cool. I'm curious to see what their melee profile actually looks like. And then just kind of like what those detachments actually do. Because like it's funny that OC15 rule is very like, oh, well, suddenly your offensive profile is much less important because I could just be like, you're there and that is mine. So I don't know. We'll see.
And they're all synapse, so they don't even battle shock themselves like ever. So
Right. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, a thing I definitely learned in the testing leading up to this event is it's really easy to sleep on how good Shadows is until you're a Custodes army without stratagems because you failed a couple 5-inch charge equivalents.
yeah.
And then you're like, hey. I was playing, like, one of our test games was like, I was testing the Custodes list that we were working on into Sean, and I failed, like, the 2, like, he was going to engage 2 bricks, or he could like pivot and engage 1, and I failed both the battle shock tests and just like lost 16 custodians in a turn to like nid monsters, and was like, what is happening?
When the night player fails it and can't rotate ion shields against you, like there's lots of sketches.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff, or like you fail it and then like you just don't get primary that turn, or like you fail it, you can't score for shit because all the things require you not to be battle shocked. I don't know. That thing's
Chris
good.
in our game against New Zealand, triple failed battle shock on all 3 objectives and one dropped from 15 primary to 0. Brian, one of the sketchiest moments he had in the event was he had a squad of Wraith Guard wrapped by gargoyles that if it passed his battle shock could fall back and shoot, and if it didn't, couldn't. And it was next to Deathleaper in a Neuroturn army. It's like, don't roll a 7 or less.
That's an 8, isn't it?
Yeah, 56% chance to fail.
Yeah, I think I got a lot like better. Like Shadows is a lot better if you don't view it as like this is gonna change the game. It's way better if you view it as like shit's about to get fucky for a turn.
Yeah, no, I definitely moved towards having Deathleaper and the Neuroturn in the list after having played with and around turn. It's a bunch more. Just the scam potential, just make sure opponents play way more safe, which can just give you the time you need as turns to actually do damage sometimes, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
All right. Typhus asks, Anthony, what was more scuffed? The English confidence to get top 3 or the Icelandic club full of 15-year-olds?
So it definitely, like, as scuffed as the Icelandic club was, it was still a good time. The English confidence to get top 3 was like completely misplaced. So that one.
Okay. Anthony, what's the worst take of the edition so far?
That the missions in 10th are good and that the rest of the edition is the problem.
Fair enough. Who's running to be the next USA captain?
I mean, so we actually will have a vote this year and going forwards. I don't know how much of the process I'm able to talk about, but there will be a vote this year. And yeah, that's it. The Sean will run most likely. I will not if Sean runs. out of respect for the boss. He did us a big old favor this year by coming out of retirement and leading the team. So I will not run against him if he decides to run again. Yeah, it was. So it'll probably be Sean, frankly. Like,
does anyone really have the chance? Well, I guess the better question is who can vote, because I'm sure that question is going to come about.
That hasn't been like 100% finalized yet, but like once it's up, we'll know. It'll probably be like some amount of the team that was present for the creation of the charter. So this year's team.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, like if you were here to help set it up, you get to vote. That's the rules. So yeah, we'll see. We'll know more soon. There should be announcements and stuff on the Team USA social medias soonish.
Nice.
Who's coming to LGT? That is me, you, Typhus, and Nathan Roberts. I assume will be there as well.
I will be at LGT. I booked that flight yesterday.
Hell yeah. Paul promises whoever comes with can get him extremely drunk. No, other way around, Paul.
I mean, I'll happily get Paul drunk.
It's after his wedding, so he has no excuse. Anthony, how are you finding the new General's Handbook with your Blades of Corn?
Quite good. The changes to like people want to take more casters is really funny in a world where my army's like, I don't have any casters and I get bonuses when I kill them. Fuck you. But I've only played a couple of games, so I've just thrown like quadruple bloodthirster lists at people because that's a thing you can do in that game and still play a real army, and that's awesome. So yeah, that part of Sigmar is sweet. The way they do army stuff, like the ability to take like stuff like that and have it be real is hype.
It's all right. Once Norns are out, we'll be able to do the same. So
true. Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on the new models and Nid rules previewed so far? Norn and Crusher rules and a little bit of Vanguard Invasion.
Jesus Christ, Crusher sucks.
Yeah, Crusher's going to have some really good strategies and enhancements for that to get off the ground, because that's not a good army rule. It's like an army rule you will occasionally remember exists.
It's
like,
so bad. Like, yeah. I'm just going to say it, man. That rule sucks. Yeah, like, that rule in all instances of it existing is real bad. So, especially when Invasion Fleet is, like, right there, it's like, what are you even doing? So, yeah. Maybe it'll have some busted stratagems. Maybe it'll get Breaking Through back.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess you don't have Tank Shock, so yeah, you can have that.
That's what I'm saying.
Sorry, 1 second.
The new models are sick. The Norn is like flatly insane. Like it's a really, really dope.
It's so
model.
dope looking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to buy like 6.
Did you lose your place?
No, I got a message I needed to respond to.
Oh, all good. I mean, I could vamp about Nids for a bit. The new models are sick. Like, I would love to like that army. I'm very hopeful that I will get to like that army, but my worry is that like I don't like Nids the way that Innis likes Nids, right? So like if Nids are really good and they like feel good to play, I'm in there. But if they just like look pretty good, I'm not committed like that, you know? Like I'll put in the work to make like CSM and Eaters like work. If Nids are just like not that great and I have to try real hard, less interested.
No, that makes sense.
No, I'm definitely. I mean, I'm the kind of the same boat. If Nids are like top 5, I'll play them broadly regardless. But if they're outside that, it's like real sketch hours.
Yeah. I'm saying you have a little bit more like figure it out in you than I do.
I'll put some effort into making Nids work if they're not like immediately broken.
Right. Yeah, I feel this like that again. That's how I feel about like CSM and World Eaters, right? Like like I'll put the work and the hours into them, commiserate with like making them be top 5, but like I'm not gonna lay the groundwork like that with Nids, or I'm like less interested in doing so.
Yeah. Okay. What index do you think sets an example for the power level GW should aim for?
Like CSM again.
Even that might be too high.
No, I would say like Orcs and Tau.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Orcs personally, like, I'm of the opinion that Orcs actually represent a much more like toxic thing to play against than CSM.
I agree, but I think the power level is more on point.
I don't feel that way, but like the playing against that Orc list as much as I have in practice and stuff, it is very common for you to get hold 1 from a singles perspective, specifically for this conversation anyway, it is very easy to get hold 1 on turn 2 against that orc list and be in a position where you are now physically incapable of winning the game. The game is now just over. And that is horrid.
Well, I mean, part of that is Forge data sheet shouldn't exist. Get rid of the big track. But
like, too bad they're here, right? Like,
I know, but I mean, I'm still allowed to be upset.
yeah, but like, so like, I think that is way worse in a way that often doesn't get talked about, and I think will start to come up more because like the edition is very vulnerable to that with its like reduced lethality. That like I went like this when I said it. You missed the air
Yeah,
quotes. But like if you actually do reduce the lethality, it's very easy for armies to start to lean into like transport, homer, cleanse, garbage, and just be like, we don't actually kill each other ever. One of us is going to get 98, one of us is going to get 93, and we just at each other until it's over. That I think is a real risk. I think it would be better than what we have now, where Eldar just win everything. But I think that orcs represent that, like, even now. And it's part of why they were so good in teams for us.
That's fair. I definitely don't have enough reps into orcs. I've only played them a few times, and it definitely wasn't anything near that style of build.
Oh yeah, I've either played as, against, or spectated like fucking 40 games of orcs. It feels like. So, yeah, orcs they're very, very good at just being like, oh, and the other thing with them is like, so let's say like you've kept up. If you step backwards ever, game's over. Like, and it's really hard to like recognize that. I don't know. I'm broadly very high on orcs, so I just like in my head like the idea that like pulling other things to that level is scary. But
you think they're better than CSM then?
Yeah, I think they're a better army than CSM.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think that CSM can beat them if the CSM player is like real careful about his asset usage. But like that matchup is sketchy.
No, makes sense. Blah blah blah. It is so excited to play Death Guard. Not at all. I can't wait. I'm not excited in the slightest, and I'm also incredibly excited because I like playing I love the Mortar model. I have a really cool converted one that I'm super happy with. I like playing Brush Crawlers just as a unit. It'll be fun, or it won't be, and that'll be fine too because I can always drop and make the ringer keep playing. So
true.
I'm not going to tank my CRS just for the fun of it. Although I'm playing Death Guard, so I assume that it will be fairly safe. But
nah, just tank your Elo for it.
Yeah, I don't care about Elo. Elo's not real.
If you're gonna use either of the two,
yeah, I would use the cool one, CRS, the competitive ranking score. Whereas Elo is bad. Innes, what made you decide to take Deathwing Knights over the command squad? -1 damage.
Yeah.
It doubles the survivability of the squad in most situations.
Well, and it also applies to the captain, which is huge when you're dealing with anything trying to pop him out of the unit.
Yeah, no one's ever tried that, but sure, I'm sure that would be a great thing.
That is nice. I don't think about that.
The unit does better damage as well. Like hitting on 2s is nice instead of 4s with Thunderhammers or 3s with Powerfists that are, damage 2. Like it does more damage. It's more resilient.
You also have like great access.
You get
to
the Watcher in the Dark, which both of them get obviously. But the bringing a guy back is great, but the squad doesn't like take damage that much that it's worth bringing a guy back that much. The range extension from that is, people already don't shoot them. The fact that you make them even less attractive to shoot just doesn't affect that much.
Right.
And you get the mini character with the Dev Wounds guy from the Sergeant, so you only get 2 additional character level guys, and the +1 advance and charge is like whatever. Yeah. Great to see you back, Anthony. The 10-10 you had into Mike, how unlucky do you think Mike got? Some of the story coming out of it were all unfortunate dice rolls.
I mean, like, he failed a 5-entry rolling charge, but I've talked about this a couple times now.
I heard it was a 3-entry rolling, so
no, it was a 5. Sorry, he needed to show a 5. So yeah, and he just literally rolled a 3. He rolled a 3 twice, so it couldn't have been a 3. the thing with that like situation is that got like a bit of hyper focus afterwards because like people kept being like, oh, if he passes the Aberrant charge. So the only thing that would have changed is that I would have got one less shooting activation with Abaddon's unit, like because he charges me, I fight in death, and like the same exact thing happens, as opposed to me moving, shooting, charging him, and then dying in his shooting phase. Like it just changes the position slightly, but because he's GSC, it doesn't push back him meaningfully because he's GSC. So like it didn't really change that much. There was just like a couple of like, stuff went sideways. He sets up like this big like move block with his GSC, sets up his seismic cannons on like the backside of the objective so I can't get to him. Clearly like has not played against a ton of Nurgle Forge Fiend because his opponent's lists are undivided. Goes to shoot me. I'm like, no. And then he's like, oh, snap. And he had vected Profane Zeal already. So it was just like, all right, only so much to be done with that. But like, little stuff like that happening over the course of the game on top of me being able to take like Assassinate and Homers. And I had just like a Flamer unit that parked near, like touching his deployment zone and was just like Homer, 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 Homer. So like, easy secondary scores, bit of primary because the mission like is just like hold 1, hold 2, get some points at the end. I didn't really get much at the end, but like you like with the way the mission went out, with the way the game cycle went, it wasn't like a wildly out of band score. It was just significantly more than I was expecting.
That's fair. Okay. Sam also asks, Kourtney Kardashian had her wedding sponsored by Dolce & Gabbana. What does an Anthony Vanilla wedding sponsored by StatCheck look like?
Small.
Is probably very true.
Yeah.
If we could get Red Bull tacked in on that, like we were at WDC, though, baby.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So
us and
wild
Red
seeing
Bull
our
just
logo.
like next to each other. Very funny.
It was great. If David Giller was here, what bird related question would you ask him? How's the wedding planning going?
Yeah, he's like, I think he's through planning, right? He's in like happening. How's the wedding happening going?
Should Typhus try to be in the Polish team next year or continue the content creator route of his life?
Man, I like very selfishly hope he sticks to the content side because it is wonderful to have all of his content leading up to the event.
100%.
But like obviously he's a massive asset to the Polish team. So like, but like selfishly, I would prefer that he kept doing content. It also seems better for him because it doesn't just like consume his entire life for 6 months in a row.
Yeah, he only destroyed like 2 or 3 days of his life as he dealt with the aftermath.
Dude,
instead of
he
all
was
of it before.
yeah,
It
that
was
was
a
just,
mess. It was great.
he was working for it.
Japanese or Indian curry? Pass.
Indian curry.
When given a 1 to 10 spice scale to order, what number do you give? 0, if possible.
Yeah, and it aims for 0. I like a 5. Like a 5 where it's like pretty good, not crazy, solid. Usually keeps me happy.
Yeah, somewhere
Makes
between a
it
5 and
really-
a 6, probably. Maybe a 4, depending on what the actual.
It depends on where we are. Actually, if we're in a Thai restaurant, I stay below 3.
Yeah, I made that mistake in Thailand. It was just like, yeah. This is medium spice. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Was not fine.
Yeah, for real. We got we went to a Pakistani restaurant when we were in Reykjavik that fucking slammed. It was so good. As a general rule of thumb, that was like the best vacation. That place was fucking great.
Oh, Iceland's amazing.
Yeah, incredible place. I don't know how there's only like 300,000 people there.
Well, because it does kind of suck to live there.
It seemed good.
You went in the summer.
I mean, I don't care about the sun being up. It could be like this all day. I wouldn't care. But like, I guess for some people,
It's
that's
the
a thing.
other half of the year that sucks.
What does that mean?
Like you went during the summer. You do care.
I know,
about
no, I
sunlight.
understand. I'm saying like the part where it's like dark wouldn't bother me, but I get why other people might not be into
You
it.
say that.
You
It
say
gets
that.
real weird when you've not seen the sun in 3 weeks.
No, I used to do that like on I don't know, whatever. It's fine.
Sure, I know, but
Yeah.
so did I, and I still like the sun sometimes.
Eh.
And then Dan F asks, dark or white meat for fried chicken? I
Dark.
assume I don't really know.
Dark generally.
It's chicken, man. Who's gonna complain? Does Iceland have dragon soup?
Iceland does not have dragon soup, but it might have dragons. There's a lot of land there, and I'm not sure that I
that's
saw
true.
all of it.
Right. We had one question, which was, how would we fix sisters?
They need new mechanics. I don't think you can fix that army with points.
I mean, the core army rule is fine.
the
Miracle dice or the possible to
Yeah.
hit and wound?
The
possible to hit
miracle
and
dice.
wound, the below half strength.
The
thing.
detachment rule is where you don't really want to go.
They have great stratagems in that detachment, but the rules
Yes.
are the rule itself is garbage. I think there's just like not enough things. Like they just like I don't know, they need like a +1 attack and AP. They just need Bloody Rose back. Just give them
Yeah.
back the thing that made them good.
Or make their Meltas actually do something. Like you got to give them damage on one side of the equation at least.
Preferably in melee, just because the addition's kind of a shit show for it. We could use a real melee
missing it,
army.
yeah.
I would also like to have sisters at some point. Those models are sick.
Ben says it was a fantastic life experience. Thanks for being a big part of it. For WTC, this was specifically talking to you, Anthony.
Yes, absolutely. I am very grateful for all of the parts of the team that were, all of our teammates were amazing. I definitely am looking forward to continuing to grow the team with them.
Clown Mode says, how excited should we be for Team USA next year? Great performance this year. And also, I love your image.
That is a very funny image. Everyone should be super excited. The Team USA stuff is going to continue in the same way that it was. There'll be like a more formalized application process for getting onto the team as a prospect so that more of the community can try and get involved. That is coming soon, TM.
And then Shackleton Mangrum says, funniest list to come out of WTC. I have an intense amount of respect for Leshu's Dark Angels list that was not on anybody's radar going into the event.
Yeah, it's got to be that. I looked at it and was like, that's Leshu, and that shit's dangerous, and I don't know what the fuck that is doing. And then that was like kind of the extent of it. It is definitely the funniest list relative to like how good it was.
I think Serrano's Blood Angels list was also kind of similar the way Link, but that was kind of just generic Gladius with a combat unit, much the same as mine.
Yeah.
It was just a different flavor of combat unit.
Yeah, it was like combat unit plus good Gladius stuff, which worked, but Delicious was definitely a lot more out there.
Yeah.
And then like everybody in the top 20 besides Skark, and Skark's list wasn't cool. Skark's list was like evil. So
Skark's list
was
evil.
spreadsheet on a table.
Yeah.
The entire rest of the top is just like Gene Star, Cults of Eldars, and like 1,000 Suns or two. So it's hard to be like any of them were super cool. I liked Oliver Rice's Black Templars list. There were some cool Marines lists at the tournament. They just like were only okay or were pretty good, but situational. Yeah, I don't know. It wasn't really an event for super cool lists. Like there wasn't. It felt like we had enough time to mostly solve the like. This is what the best things of the faction are. It's more how you combine them as a team, rather than being super far off of. Wow, Anthony's camera got super dark. Rather than being an event where we had a lot of like, oh, cool, this is like super start of the edition, and we're like, oh, we didn't know that faction was good. Like there was a lot less of that. There was definitely a little bit, but we didn't see like 3 or 4 lists come out the woodworks that nobody had seen before. It was a lot of people had dismissed this and didn't think it was worth including a team. It turned out there was a variant on it that was, but like we knew that there was guard artillery lists. It was just, oh, you can build it specifically to be quite good in this situation that we kind of missed. And the same thing with like the Gladius list. Like, yeah, there was a version of the Gladius list that was very good situationally that we kind of didn't catch in that situation.
Yeah,
that was kind of the most of it. Right, I think that is us, unless anybody said anything in the live chat in the last 2 minutes. Well, we have the bus, so personally, I'm thinking we have a mascot already. And then Team America have Anthony, who's basically the size of like a stuffed mascot toy. So
for the podcast listeners, Adam Camilleri asked us how long before WTC teams have NBA-like mascots at tables, like a big dumb kangaroo with a dude in it bouncing around being a nuisance.
We're gonna get a piper for this year to come in doing the bagpipes for us, so we can have entrance music like Australia did, where they just had a speaker in a backpack playing Linkin Park.
Yeah, the dude in the kangaroo would be a great job for Josh McMillan. Put Macca in the kangaroo suit and let him bounce around.
You can't take his shirt off. He's in a kangaroo shirt.
He can.
Just a shirtless kangaroo with legs and a head.
Just that would be actually peak.
That would be incredibly good energy. Yeah. It would give Bruno a job.
That's true.
Trying to
Everybody-
break Jeremy. No.
Everybody needs one.
We have our debrief in an hour. So
Sorry, Bruno. I'm being a dick. That is all we have, guys.
He's
So
not sorry.
I am very sorry. I'm sorry about.
He-
I'm not going to keep going.
he's only allowed to be mean to Chris on air.
And Starry and Jeremy.
Oh, okay.
those of us that can take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and Chris.
Think Chris listens to this?
I don't know. I just assume that somebody feeds back everything to him because he has like fingers in every pie as the eternal god captain of Canada. But
Yeah. He's got the Emperor's eyes.
anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for being with us for this episode 58 of Stat Check titled "What Are We Doing?" Anthony, do you want to say this episode title?
I don't even have it in me to do like a good one after weeks of just being like looking at the meta and being like, what are we doing? Like, I just don't like, it's so fucked that it's like hard to muster a real one, you know?
Okay. So for everybody who's watched the show, thank you so much for being with us. We will be here live 11 p.m. next week. Please do check out End of the Matrix and XM1 as they are both going to be live in between various interims of us being around. Check out the podcast if you haven't listened to us before. There's tons of back episodes that all have something resembling valid content in them. Anthony's camera went dark again, which is always terrifying because he just suddenly looks like a spooky ghost.
Yeah, that's what I am.
Good luck to everybody who's at tournament this week. We are very much looking forward to watching the Nova coverage. I hope Eldar just like utterly crush it. I want to see like a top 16 that's like
Matt
15,
Shuckman.
15
Let's
Eldar
go,
players
Matt.
and 15 Eldar players and one dude with like Deathwatch who's never played one who just has the worst top bracket of his life.
I'm rooting
Oh.
rooting super, super hard for our boy Matt. He played Eldar for us at the WTC this year. He lives really close to Nova, and Nova as an event means a lot to him. So if he could win it, that would be fucking stellar. I love that guy, and I hope he does it.
Also, I'm pretty sure it'll be a top 32 cut, so that'd be even funnier if like 30 of those
Just
were Eldari.
30 Eldar.
30 Eldar, two dudes with Deathwatch and GSC
Just
to play
like-
each other and just play each other in round 5 of the top cut
Yeah.
and just get crushed.
Yep.
No, it's going to be a good time. Best of luck to everybody who is at another tournament this weekend. If you are around and you see one of us, please shout out, please say hi. Otherwise, good luck to Tim. Actually, I want Tim to win Nova. Like, let's be real, but
Oh yeah.
let's also be
of course.
realistic.
Well, I mean, Tim's
Let's
great.
have Tim win his pod.
Yeah, CK in Eldar World is fucking
I want Tim to be the 32nd person in that poll. That's what I want.
hell
Aw.
yeah.
In the grinder bracket, knowing he's coming 32nd, but also knowing that if he placed
Just
one Lord,
stick it out.
he could have been 33rd.
Just stick it out. Just grind it out. Get in the top bracket, Tim, and just fucking don't drop. Just
Can't drop. Can't drop, won't drop. That's all that matters.
that's right. I think
All right,
Tim
everybody.
I think Tim could surprise Shank and Eldar.
I'm sure he could, but
Yeah.
then he has to play a game of 40k, and that's the bit I'm not sure about.
Close the show.
All right,
Get us
everybody.
outta
Thank you
here.
so much for being with us. Please do check out all our sponsors and all that stuff that I mentioned earlier. Have a great weekend. Nathan would now say bye-bye, but none of us are going to do that. So we'll see you later.
Fuck Eldar.
Fuck Eldar.